Alright, in this video, I'm going to show you how to hardwire a dashcam in R56 Mini Cooper, so stay tuned. This is my 2007 R56 Mini Cooper, and I'll be installing the dashcam in this car. And the idea is to run the wires behind the fuse box all the way up beside the dash, behind the A-pillar, and above the headliner. So I'm going to tap from the F30 fuse. This is what it looks like on the diagram. And here's where it's located in the fuse panel. I'm removing the fuse to install the tap. Alright, always remember that the fuse at the bottom is for the original circuit, and the fuse at the top is for the new circuit that you're creating. The original fuse is a 5 amp fuse, and I'm going to install another 5 amp fuse for the new circuit. Firmly press in the fuse tap and just check to make sure it's installed correctly. Alright, now that the positive wire is all good, now it's time to install the ground wire. And instead of creating a new ground source, I'm just going to tap from an existing ground. There's an existing ground source below this passenger lower foot panel, so I'm just going to use that one. I removed the rubber door seal, and now I'm just carefully removing the clips for the panel. Once the clips are removed, then I'll be able to have access behind the panel, and it should look like this. This is the ground that I'll be tapping from. I'll be installing this dual USB socket. I got it from Amazon. I'll leave the link in the description. It came with two wires, a negative wire and a positive wire. The positive wire have an inline fuse, but I'm going to eliminate the inline fuse because I'm just going to use the fuse that's already going to be in the fuse tap. I'm using a 10mm socket to remove this nut. Alright, so this is what it looks like after I install the ground, and as you can see below, it's an original ground source. I tuck the wire behind the panel, then I install the other end to the USB socket. Then I install the positive wire to the back of the socket. The positive wire was too long, so I measured and cut it to the length that I wanted it to be. So I stripped the wire, then I prepared for crimping. I always use extra force when I'm crimping wires because I don't want them to come loose afterwards. Alright, at this point, it's time for me to test to make sure it works. So I install the key, I turn the ignition on, and I look for the LED light to come on in the socket. Once I saw that the LED light came on and I confirmed that everything was working, now it's time for me to continue with this install. Alright, so now I'm going to remove the existing rubber seal. This will give me room to insert the trim removal tool so that I can remove the A-pillar cover panel. This is what it should look like when you remove the door rubber seal. Now it's time to remove the small plastic cover. Once the cover is off, that should reveal the torque screw that's behind it. After removing the torque screw, I carefully pry the panel from the outside. Once all the clips are released, the panel should easily come off. I test fit the camera, then I check to see how much wire I need. I tuck the wire above the headliner, then I work my way down the A-pillar. I use a piece of Velcro to wrap the wire around the existing wires that's in the A-pillar. I do this because I want to make sure the wire stays in place. I ran the USB wire behind the dash, then down into the fuse panel area. I plug the USB into the socket, then I check to make sure it powers the camera. Once I confirm that the dashcam is getting power, now it's time to reinstall the stuff that I removed. I made sure all the clips are lined up on the A-pillar cover panel, then I firmly press it in. I installed the torque screw and the small little airbag cover. These little white clips, when I removed the lower panel, they came off in the chassis of the car. But before I reinstall the cover panel, I have to remove them and put them back into the cover, then reinstall the panel. Make sure this rubber seal is installed correctly. If it's not installed correctly, water will come inside the car. If you're unsure that you installed it correctly, you can check the other side of the car to compare. This is what it should look like after you install the panels and the door seal. I wrapped up the excess wire that was left over from the USB and I tied it using Velcro. I carefully tuck the wires inside the fuse panel, then I install the fuse panel cover. I insert the key, turn on the ignition, and check to make sure the dash cam comes on. Alright, that's it for this one. If you like this video, consider subscribing because I'm going to be making a lot more videos like this one. Thanks for watching.